How we doing, everybody? And welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is a snowy, blistery, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, holy crap, it has been frigid cold in the state of Wisconsin. I am getting over it at this point here. I mean, we've been dealing with it for a couple days now. Now I saw next Monday, they're talking like it's supposed to be -6 for a high. -6 for a high. That's ridiculous. We were cheering today because it got to 4 degrees. I was like, my guy I work with, he's like, global warming all over again right now. 4 degrees outside. We're getting too hot out there. He's like, we doubled what we were yesterday. We were only 2 out there. I mean, it's madness right now. It's madness. It's blistery cold. But hey, we make it through. We're warm. We're warm and fuzzy inside tonight here. Hopefully, everybody tuning in. Hey, if you're tuning in tonight, make sure you guys are letting us know what you think. Badgers, Packers, Bucks. We want to talk about it all. You guys got something you want to talk about? Mention it to us. We'll get into it here on the show tonight here. But I got Aaron with me tonight on this Wednesday. Aaron, how we doing tonight?
Not bad, not bad. I mean, it's I think it's cold here, but you guys have it rougher. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like today, it's like one of those days you walk outside and it does hit you in the face though around here. Like it's like, wow, like this is not it. You know, it was cold, but it was like manageable before. This is like you don't want to be out more than 15, 20 minutes is like pushing it, really. I mean, it's only what? Let me see right now. It's only they're saying it. Okay, so it feels it's going to be 14 at tonight. So I mean, it's felt like teens all day with the wind chill stuff like that. Just around there. So I mean, like I said, you guys have it worse, but it's not exactly Florida over here either. It's not fun. I'm like you said, I'm kind of over it too. I do like snow, but it's frigid. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not.
This chair is just kicking my pants over here right now. It's not going well. Got the Duck Dynasty rug down below me, and the chair's getting stuck trying to roll in. I'm just not having it. Not having it right now.
It happens.
So I was watching. Have you ever seen a guy cook a beaver before? Have you ever seen a guy cook a beaver? I was watching a video today, and this guy, he's got 3 Miller Lite cans, and he's got a beaver getting smoked on top of it. And I was like, I don't even know. That doesn't look good. That didn't even look good. Like, I'm watching this guy cook it. I'm like, this doesn't even look good right now. I did hear, though, it was on Alaskan Bush People. I went through a weird kick where I was watching. I still do every once in a while. I'll watch Alaskan Bush People. And have you ever watched it? Have you ever watched Alaskan Bush People?
I have not. It sounds like I would, though. It sounds interesting.
They're different. They're different. That is about as, I don't even know, hillbilly as it gets right there. And the one, they said that they got so hungry once that they shot a beaver and they ate it. And apparently beaver is really high in iron. Like, it gives you double of what you actually need in one day with iron. So he said that their porta potty or the can got really used that day because the beaver was. I was like, oh man, like, I don't even want to hear that. But apparently, beaver's supposed to be good. That's what I'm hearing. It's supposed to be good. This guy was smoking it. He said it was pretty good. So I guess there. But Alaskan Bush People, you got to check it out sometime. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you get an episode where like their goal is to like they're gonna build they were building like a windmill out in Alaska, and they were building out of these poles. They were sticking them up in the ground there, and they're gonna put this windmill at the top to give themselves power on this random island that they're on. And then they get a cow, and they're like scared of bears out there, so then they get a cow, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we get milk now, but now the cow attracts bears. So it's like, I don't even know. Like, they're wild. That is definitely one of the craziest shows I've watched. And it gets, I mean, at the end, you're just like, then they were living in Washington at one point. They get shot off of one land, and then they moved to Washington. It's just a different kind of show, but I'd recommend it. I'd recommend checking it out there. So we got lots to get into. Tonight, more than just Alaskan Bush People, even though it's a great show. Would recommend it there. Like I said before, if you're tuning in, make sure you guys get in the comment section. Let us know what you're thinking. Badgers, I don't know, Bucks, Packers, whatever you want to talk about tonight. We'd love to get into it. Get into the comment section and let us know there. Let us know how you're feeling, Packer fans out there, because, I mean, we're feeling one way. We probably know how you guys are feeling, so we'd love to hear it tonight here on the show. But, Aaron, I want to start right away. The international signing period for the MLB went up today here, and the Brewers had a good amount of money to spend. I believe it was like they had a fair chunk, and they went out there. They grabbed some pretty decent prospects. They got a couple outfielders, a couple notables, I guess you could say. Kenny Fenelon, the number 36 prospect there in the international signing pool, and then they got Braylon Nunez. These names are gonna kick my butt the whole time there. But the number 42 prospect there, an outfielder also, and then Christopher Acosta, the shortstop, number 45 on the list there in the international signing pool. They went through, I believe what it was the total, like 29 guys that they ended up signing in total there. The Brewers did. Yeah, 29 international prospects that they signed today here, and 3 of them were in the top 50 of that prospect list. So that's impressive. I mean, Aaron, you were going to Google up there. What did you find anything about like where the number 1 prospect internationally went? Did he sign anywhere?
So the absolute number 1, Roki, I'm gonna butcher this completely too, but Roki Sasaki.
The big name. That's that big name guy, the pitcher.
Yeah, right-hand pitcher. He's not. I don't think he's signed. I don't know if he's in talks. He's number 1, and there's no team beside him. So like, let's just move on to number 2. The Giants got him. Okay. Another complicated name there, but shortstop out Hosar, first name. Shortstop out of the Dominican Republic, and then the Mets, Tigers. I mean the Mets. So funny. The Mets. It looks like they spent the most money on one individual player. Elian Pena, a shortstop from the Dominican Republic, but he's getting $5 million, and those other guys are getting like 3 and some change. So I mean, typical Mets Steve Cohen thing to do, right? Just flex the wallet there, just because you can. I mean, why not, right? I guess. But let me get. Don't know what happened there. Shoot, sorry about that.
You're good. You're good. You're still here.
Let me hold on. There we go. Stupid MLB.com got me on an ad there. But yeah, that was it seems like a lot of I didn't realize how many teams, like, I mean, they're spenders, like this is one of those things where, I mean, every team I was seeing, like Baltimore was 6 million, Brewers, right around there as well, 6, 7, like everybody's in the 6 to 7, if not more area. So I totally forgot this existed. I'll be honest. It makes me sound like I don't know what's going on a little bit, but I forgot this was like a thing. You know what I mean?
Prospects are, I mean, nobody.
The international.
Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. But when you look at like the Brewers, I mean, look at what they got out of Venezuela. Jackson Chourio, like he's your number 1 prospect. He's the dude right now. Came out of Venezuela. And then they also got, I believe Jefferson Cuero came from down there. Luis Lara came from there. And so did Jorge Quintana. So you got 4 guys out of Venezuela there who are currently in your top 30 in your prospect list. So that speaks volumes to what you can do in this international signing pool that you would normally not be able to touch, right? Venezuela, the Brewers, I mean, they go down there, they scout very well down there. I mean, there's a lot of teams who struggle internationally scouting. The Brewers, they have facilities all over the place. I know a lot of teams do, but they have facilities all over the place, and they get these guys, they see these guys all year round, and they do a heck of a job on finding talent down there. So I love these signings so far. We got to do more digging on these guys if we're going to learn anything, right? There's only so much that you can find out on these guys at the moment, right? There's still a word out there that they think Jackson Chourio isn't actually as young as what they say he is. Like, people believe that, he's like the guy off of this, the bench warmers with the green crayon that says I am 12. Like, that's how they think Jackson Chourio is showing up to baseball games sometimes. So, I mean, that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. But Brewers sign up 3 guys in the top 50 in the prospect pool there. So good stuff there out of the Brewers. But Aaron, I want to get over to the Packers because we got into the indiscretions and how we were feeling about the Packers coming off of, that game against the Eagles. It was a sour taste, right? A sour taste, but I got to be honest with you. I'm almost glad it's done. Right, because we went through the weeks, and it felt like in that last, I would say, almost month, right? Did we really have a lot of good things to say, right? Were we really talking about the Packers and saying realistically this team had a shot to go to the Super Bowl? I didn't think so. I really didn't think so. At the beginning of the year, yes. Halfway through the year, I thought they could turn it around and figure it out. But when you got to week 15, week 16, week 17, and it was the same things, it was the same mistakes, the silly crap that we went over week after week, and it didn't change. It didn't improve. The offense wasn't getting better. The slow starts were still there. The pre-snap penalties, everything in between was still there. And it just came to the point where it was like, how can you go on the road realistically for 3 straight games and get to the Super Bowl with all these problems? With all these problems, you can't just flip a light switch. You can't just flip a light switch in the postseason. You can do it mid-season, right? We talk about the Packers from 2 seasons ago. Not this last season, but 2 seasons ago. Well, we're talking last season is this season now. But when they went down to Dallas, when that second half of the season, when Jordan Love and the offense turned it on, right? We could talk about that. When that happened, we felt good about this team. We're like, the offense is rolling right now. If the defense can take a step up, I like the odds. I like the odds of this team. They went to San Fran. They played well in San Fran. I mean, besides a couple of boneheaded mistakes, maybe they walk out of San Fran with a win and they go to Detroit. Like, we're talking about a completely different narrative coming off of that season. But I think what hurt the most off of this season was Wyatt never got off the ground running, right? You know, it's like we're like a plane, right? You're thinking about a plane there, and it never came off the runway. It tried. It sure as heck tried, right? It was nose up a couple times. But then it would just sink back down. And it never seemed like once it seemed like everything was starting to flow, it dropped back. And there was some mistake, some silly thing that dropped this team back down to where they just were, down at ground level. And it's like, why did they never take that step? And what hurt the most with it was we saw this team take that next step last season. We saw it. We saw it when they went to Dallas. And I know Dallas is Dallas, right? Everybody will say that. Dallas is Dallas. I'm still impressed that they went down there and they put on the performance that they did in Dallas. And then they went to San Fran. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, you look skill position to skill position. San Fran from last season with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel on that team. I get it. Brock Purdy. Everybody's like, he's not that good of a quarterback. Well, guess what? When you have all them playmakers, you don't need to be a great quarterback. You just need to be a good quarterback that can make it work. You look at the defense, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. I mean, they had dogs on that team. And that Packers team went in there and they had a lead. They looked good. People were talking about that Packers team in that game like, oh my God, like they're going to win. They're going to go to Detroit. They're going to win this football game right now. And then we all know what happened. But I think what makes this season worse is that you didn't progress, right? You didn't take that next step. You went backwards. And that's what I kind of want to talk about here to start. Looking at this roster, because we look at the Green Bay Packers from this last season here. And my biggest question was, did any of these Packers progress in this season, right? So I guess I want to go through a list. I want to go through a list of guys. And we're going to start at the top head and we're going to work our way down, right? So my number one guy, and this is the guy I want to discuss right away, Jordan Love. Did Jordan Love progress from what we saw last season? Aaron, I mean, what do you think? Did Jordan Love progress from what you saw last season? And I would say, the tough part with Jordan Love is you almost split last season into two halves, right? Second half of the season, that's the Jordan Love that we know he's capable of being. First half of the season was skin tires, yeah. But then he hit that stride, and it's like, okay, we know the guy he can be. Now, can he sustain that? Can he be that guy? What do you think? Jordan Love, did he progress this last season?
No, I got to say he regressed. I mean, we saw it kind of abundantly clear. I still, I am the last guy to make excuses for quarterback or whatnot. I do think he was – I want to say he wasn't 100% for – I mean, not – I'll put it this way, not many people are 100% this time of year. You get the week 17, then you get to the wild card round, especially I got to think Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Derrick Henry, those backs that get used in excess. I can't think any of those guys are I've heard the stories Arian Foster said on the Joe Rogan podcast a while ago. As long as he's telling the truth, which I don't feel like, why would he not? Maybe exaggerate a little bit, but running backs, quarterbacks, tight end, Kraft, Dallas Goedert, those guys are banged up. So I'm not going to completely make an excuse I'll give him a little bit of grace only because of the elbow. He sustained that elbow injury against the Bears last week of the season. And then, they say it was precautionary. Sure, it probably was, but you just don't know. But no, as a whole, I mean, Jordan Love definitely took I would say a substantial step back, unfortunately. Just because of what we saw last year, what we saw down the stretch last year. And then this year was just, he never really wowed you. He'd make a throw here and there and wow you, but not for 4 quarters. It wasn't wow, this guy is dangerous for 4 quarters. He would just kind of go away. It would just kind of okay, where's it? Are we ever going to find that Jordan Love again? So going into next year, you got to think there'll be a lot of questions asked of him. How good is he? Is he really that guy? He has a lot to prove. I'll put it that way, because of this season, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not going to say he did horrible this year. It's just he was nothing there was nothing to write home about at the same time.
No, and my thing with Jordan Love, if you're already writing the book on Jordan Love, like you're done with this guy, he's nothing. I don't believe you. Like I'm not with that crowd. I'm not. Jordan Love's a good quarterback. Right now, he's a good quarterback. I think he's got the capability to be I'm not going to say a Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to say a Joe Burrow, but he's got the ability to be next level. He's got that ability. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold is twice the quarterback than what Jordan Love is, but if you wanted to look what they did this season, you would put Sam Darnold ahead of Jordan Love. Like that's what we saw. Statistically, Jordan Love didn't have a terrible year. 63% on his completion rating, 3,000 yards, 8 out of the average there, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But I think you put that microscope on those 11 interceptions. I think you do, because I don't know if it's just me, but when I see those interceptions, it's missing guys. That was I guess my biggest thing when I watched Jordan Love this season was, everybody says the receivers didn't get open. I thought there was times where the receivers got open. I thought there was times where we saw guys get open out in the open field. And it was an arid throw. It was, we're going to throw, the double coverage to Dobbs in that playoff game there when he had Josh Jacobs in the flat. It was those little mistakes that we talk about with Jordan Love. I think that those are the ones that I amplify, because I think he took a regression in his vision. And I don't know if he doesn't have, we talked about the other day. We're like, what is it like between the ears, right? That's a big question. Is it screwed on tight? What is it? Does he have the vision? Can he get past the first couple reads? Because that defines a good quarterback. You got to be able to look off this guy, right? Maybe Dobbs is your first option. Look him off, right? Look at Watson. He's not there. Okay, now I keep going back, right? But when I watch him, it's like, I don't know. At times he forces the issue. Then he went away from forcing the issue. And then he came back to it. Look at that throw to Wicks there in that playoff game. He was forcing the issue again. So it's like, what is going on with Jordan Love? And I think it's something between the ears with him there. Last season, I think part of it was Matt LaFleur simplified the offense for him, right? You talk about what we saw last season versus this season. We saw a lot more play action. We saw a lot more simple stuff. We saw a lot more receivers getting wide open there due to that play action. It was those little things. This season, they went away from the play action. And we're going to get to that because Matt LaFleur mentioned that in his press conference. I want to talk about a few things that we saw there. But, went away from the play action, so changed up that on him. It's those little things with him. So you go back to coaching then. Why did his footwork get worse? We look at his footwork going into this season, and his footwork was terrible to start last season. And Tom Clemens, he's going to retire now. So, bless his heart, great guy. Worked with Favre, worked with Rodgers, worked with Love. Talk about a combo that this guy got to work with there. But he's going to ride off in the sunset there and retire. But I'm looking at him and I'm like, why did Jordan Love not get taken back and say, hey, we got to work on this. We got to settle those feet. We got to make you more comfortable in there. Because if you look at the pass rush, he was one of the least sacked quarterbacks in all of football, if not the least sacked quarterback in football. And I know Matt LaFleur addresses in his thing there, in his press conference, and he talks about, Jordan Love's hard to throw a ball when you're on your back all the time and stuff like that. Jordan Love was not under duress for a lot of the season. Now, against the Eagles, yes, I believe I was looking at I wanted to check on that today, and I was looking at the PFF grade there. I think the Eagles had 18 pressures on Jordan Love and 13 hurries in that game. So, but that comes back to play calling for me too, because I look at a lot of those play calls, and it's like, why are we sending guys, 50 yards deep here and trying to break off a big chunk play? Why? Why are we doing this? It just, play calling to me was inept at times. So, I don't know. I'm looking at Jordan Love and I'm like, I don't want to say that you didn't take a step in the right direction. You did. You regressed. You did not take a step in the right direction. Statistically, you didn't have a terrible year, but looking at the proof in the pudding and looking at what we saw, I don't feel like he took the right step. And when you're not progressing, you're regressing especially in the NFL, right? If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You can't do one. You can't stay stagnant. You got to get better. You're going to get worse. Jordan Love, I don't think he got better. It's going to be a lot this offseason on getting that head screwed on right? Getting past whatever it is, vision with his vision, seeing the field, seeing his guys out there, making the right read, making the right throw, decision-making, simplifying the game, slowing it down for yourself, right? I always remember I saw that the Aaron Rodgers documentary when he's talking about, he was on the air. I can't remember what episode. I think it was the first one. And he's on the airplane with, I believe it was when he was with the Jets and he was recovering. And he's breaking down to the one, I think it was, I can't remember who he's breaking it down to, but the route tree. And he's like, this is the percentage of, if this guy runs this route, this is the percentage he's going to be open. And this is the percentage of that. And he said, this is everything that goes through my head when I'm going to make that throw. Like, I know, like, this is the percentage of this guy making this play. And it's like, I would have never understood that, right? Like, that's too much to comprehend, but it's a craft, right? He works on it. He understands it. He understands where guys are supposed to be, and he understands where they're going to make their breaks, those little things, right? Joe Burrow, those guys, they make those throws. Guys make their break. The throw is coming. Like, they throw guys open. They do those little things. I don't know if Jordan Love is doing those little things when I watch him. It's like he's throwing to the open guy. When Jaden Reed makes his cut, the ball's not there yet. But when Jaden Reed's standing in the middle of the field, the ball's coming. It's late. It seems like it's late. He's not making that read early enough. So it's like it's not processing fast enough for him. I'm not saying that Jordan Love isn't smart enough to figure this out, because I believe he can. It's just the processing speed, I believe, of Jordan Love has to be better going into this next season. So there's a lot of work that he has to do in this offseason. I mean, we could talk Josh Jacobs, but Josh Jacobs, I mean, he was a dog. He definitely was the right direction there. Looking down the line, let's look at the receivers, because let's look at the big positions to talk about here, right? Jaden Reed. All I'm going to say about Jaden Reed is, I mean, you look, 857 yards, led the team in yards, right? 75 targets, had a boatload of targets there. The one thing I would say is the drops. He had a lot of drops. I think the Packers, I believe, led the league in drops this season. So you put that into perspective, Jaden Reed had a boatload of drops. That would be my concern with him, is that I don't, and I'm going to look here. Let's just put the receiving core as a whole. I don't think anybody stepped up to be that guy, right? We talked about it going into the season. We're like, maybe Dobbs will be that guy. Maybe Watson will be that guy, right? But they're going to do it by committee. They got different pieces. Watson's the blow it off top guy. Dobbs is going to be a third down guy. But I don't believe anybody ever took that next step. Nobody ever said, I want to be the number one guy. I want to be the number one guy. I'm going to work my tail off. I want to be that number one guy. Nobody did that in that locker room. Not my opinion. Jaden Reed, I think he's fantastic, but he's not number one. I don't think he's going to be. Maybe, just maybe. But right now, what I'm seeing out of these guys is a lot of drops. Wicks, Reed, they both had drop problems this season. Romeo Dobbs, I mean, bless his heart, but 2 concussions on the season there. I mean, I don't know where he's going to be at with his head. Christian Watson, there, I saw from his dad. I follow him on Twitter there, and he's always chirping around there with fans and stuff like that. But he said like week 12 was what they were expecting with Christian Watson to be back. So Watson is going to be done, and who knows if week 12 is actually going to be the time period. It might be, later on or whatever it is, but Christian Watson won't be back. I'm looking at the receiving core, and I'm like, nobody took that next step. So now I got that feeling you got to go back to the drawing board. You have to, with that receiver room, because you think about the quarterbacks around the league. Goff has Amon-Ra, right? And you look at Jalen Hurts, he has A.J. Brown. You have Sam Darnold had Justin Jefferson. You go through the list of quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford has Nakua. You have all these guys. What do they have? They have that number one guy, their go-to guy. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, all the time. Like, they just have that go-to guy. When crap hits the fan, they're going after it. I just don't see that with the Green Bay Packers right now. I don't see them with that go-to guy where we need a first down. This is my guy. This is my guy I'm going to. And we always harped on it with Aaron Rodgers, right? Devontae Adams was the guy. And if Rodgers wouldn't throw another way, it'd always be to Devontae. And I was always like, yeah, that sucks. I like that Jordan Love spreads the ball around a little bit. You can spread the ball around a little bit, but you got to have that go-to guy. And when I look at this Packers receiving core right now, I just don't believe anybody took that step forward. What do you think, Aaron? Did anybody in that Packers receiver core take a step forward in your eyes?
No, I'm on the same wavelength as you there. Just because let's just take it from an opposing defensive standpoint, like you're Minnesota, you're Detroit, one of those next level teams at well, we can talk about the Vikings not being that, but throughout the regular season, right? It was one of those things where, like, if you're game planning against the Packers, yes, receiver by committee can be a little bit like daunting, but you never feel like any of those guys is gonna like murder you. Like none of those guys is gonna go for like $1.25. So
Yep.
if you can keep, if you're like, if I'm Vic Fangio and the Eagles and I'm like, you know what, we're gonna keep them between the 20s. You know what I mean? And then down when we get in that red zone, who are they gonna go? Like, who are they really gonna? Like, we don't have to stress about a Marseille Brown. We don't have to stress about it. Obviously, an AJ Brown, like a Mike Evans, right? Like, there is no like guy where it's like, crap. How do we, if that guy is double teamed, like if we're going to double team Mike Evans on the Bucks, now we got to worry about obviously when Godwin wasn't hurt, but and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like on the Packers, it's like the idea is there. Like if it was receiver by committee, but it worked really well, it would be great. But it's like none of those guys are like, I'm not gonna say they're not good enough. It's just you need another guy, like a next level guy, because now that would make them better. First of all, it would bring out more competitiveness in them at practice. You're seeing this guy every day. You bring in like I don't know who do we mention? Oh, Devontae Adams. Let's just take him for example.
Yep.
Yeah, a guy that's been there, done that. Like he would show these young guys, like, hey, let an all pro show you. You know what I mean? Like without being disrespectful, it's like let a guy that's been there, done that, do it. Because like he's better. Like at the end of the day, so yeah, it's one of those. They're not bad, but did they impress? Like I don't know if they wowed you. And we're talking like totality, right? Like from week one to the playoff game, that's what you got to look at. They had their moments, but it's like I think, as with a Packers organization moving forward, they need that number one guy because that's going to make the offense just better. Like there's no way around it. If these guys were like week in, week out, giving you, massive production, maybe you don't go that way. But right now, especially for Jordan Love's sake, I think after, we talked about kind of his regression, the receiving core didn't do him like they didn't do as much as they could have, in my opinion, or they didn't do as much as to help him. I don't know if they could have done more. Like maybe they're limited at this is like the best they are, but I don't think they progressed, right? I don't think they progressed.
Yeah. I would almost say just bring, like you said with Devontae Adams, just bringing in that veteran presence where it's going to benefit these young guys watching the route running, watching, the little things, the mental side of it, right? Because we're talking about drop passes. That's a huge thing. Drop passes. And the Packers leading all of football in drop passes, I believe. So you talk about that, having that terrible statistic tagged to your back. You get a guy in there like Devontae Adams, great hands, right? Great hands with Devontae Adams. You bring him in. He can work with these guys. He can say, hey, these are some of the little things that I worked on, right? Getting confidence instilled in these guys because it's confidence. It's, it's paying attention. It's those little things that, focus that are going to benefit in the receiving room because drop passes is focus. That's just being, sustainable, just focused on what's happening, not worried about what's going to happen, not getting ahead of yourself. Those little things that sometimes I feel like this Packers receiving core, because they're young, got away from. You get a guy like Devontae in there, an older veteran guy. He can benefit. That can benefit from that. Jordan Love can benefit that. He can have a guy in his corner there where he understands it. The fan base, I don't think they would hate it at all if Devontae Adams came back. I don't think there's any, bad blood between Devontae and a lot of fans out there. Maybe there's a couple crazy ones out there, but outside of that, nobody else really. I mean, I would want him back. I'd take Devontae back. I know I believe he's signed through 2026, so they would have to trade for him from the Jets. But I mean, we'll see what happens there. Maybe the Jets let him walk. I don't know. We'll see what kind of happens there. But the one guy I would say took a step forward would be Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft took a step forward. I don't believe outside of him, you could say Xavier McKinney took a step forward just because he was always good. But when he came to Green Bay, the interceptions started to come. He was a ball hawk. He was all over the place. So you could say that Xavier McKinney took that step forward. But Tucker Kraft would be my one guy. You talk about this guy, 14 yards average. That was his average per catch. There was 14 yards. And I believe his yards after the catch were tops of tight ends. I mean, he was downright impressive in the passing game, in the run game. He was all over the place. And listening to him after it was all done, in his when he was talking to reporters and everything like that, he was pissed off. And I love it. I love it. He was pissed. He said, I got to, there's a lot of guys in this locker room who need to wake up. He mentioned that in his press conference there. He said that he needs to be more vocal, be more of a leader. And, all of what he said is like, this is the dude who I believe is going to come back next year with some kind of fire. And if somebody gets out of line or somebody isn't ready, or, some of the main crap, maybe we're not seeing some of this crap that's happening behind the scenes. And Tucker Kraft's a guy in the locker room and he sees it. And he sees that these guys need to wake up. That's the guy you want. So I love what Tucker Kraft said there in his post game and when they were cleaning out lockers there. Love what he said. Love the fire. Now we got to see it, right? And I'm really looking forward to him next season there. We got one across the Texan line from Todd there. He said he could have been better with better quarterback play. I completely agree. I completely agree with that. Tucker Kraft, I thought was underutilized at times with this Packers offense. And, we talked about the play action game. We said, why are they not utilizing the play action game more? That's where Tucker Kraft's skill set would have been there. But when I look third downs, right, we're talking about third down guys, right? Tucker Kraft was one of the top tight ends in yards after the catch. Get him the football. Find a way to get Tucker Kraft the football in a 3rd and 5 and let him take care of business. Like, I just don't understand why it was this trying to draw up crafty stuff, trying to get so complex with it when you could go plain Jane play action and just let it ride. So that it brings you back to Aaron. I mean, you were talking about injury before. Was this injury nagging all season for Jordan Love? Like, why are we not utilizing the play action game? And we're going to, I mean, like I said, it's in the Matt LaFleur press conference. We're going to get into what some of his answers were to those silly questions there. But yeah, I would agree. I agree 100% there, Todd, with the quarterback play. It needed to be better 100%. That's on LaFleur. I agree there. That is on LaFleur. The play calling, his press conference, I don't know if anybody else in the comments would love to hear what you guys got to say. But I don't know if anybody else got time to hear that. But it pissed me off. It really did. It pissed me off hearing him out there because I don't truthfully believe that he cares what the fans think. When honestly, Aaron, I know you don't like Mike Tomlin. I know you don't. But when I was listening to Mike Tomlin's press conference, like he gave me if I was a Steelers fan, I felt better listening to Mike Tomlin because he gave me the truth answers. He gave me, we needed to be better. He gave me this. I needed to be better. He gave me all those answers. Matt LaFleur gave me the BS lines, and it irritates the crap out of him because it's after every game. What is the one joke we always make? Well, I got to look back at it, right? I got to look at the film. I got to look at the film and see what happened there. I got to look at the film. How many times are you going to watch the film? That's my question. How many times are you going to watch the film before you fix it? Because these guys, all these other coordinators out there, guess what? Jordan Love's regression. A lot of these coordinators watch Jordan Love, right? Maybe they saw it last season. They're like, hey, he can't get past the second read. He can't. So then they're like, well, maybe, just maybe, we take advantage of that as a defensive side, right? So then it's on Matt LaFleur to figure that out, to fix that, right?
Well, to comment on that real quick. So that twofold thing, right? So the Mike Tomlin thing, he's one of those guys all bark no bite. You know what I mean? That to me, that's what that like. I'm not trying to say he says the wrong things. It's just he says those things. Guess what? They'll go 10-7 next year. Like or they'll like it's the same. It's like James Franklin. How many times can we sit here and say, oh, he's great, what is he really? You know what I mean? So it's just, I know Tomlin has a Super Bowl. I'm not trying to be like he's trash. The Steelers fan base. I mean, I called it like 2 or 3 years ago. Now everybody on like if you go on X, like it's like fired Mike Tomlin. That's like the talk of the town. Everybody's like fire Mike Tomlin now. But the LaFleur thing, no, that reminds me like every week, and I don't want to make it about PA Sports or whatever, but it was every week Carson Wentz would be like, we got to look ourselves in the mirror and take accountability and watch film. Like you said, that gets stale, right? That does get like, how many times that cracks me up when you say that. It's like, how many is he like, has he watched the tape more than, Bill Belichick's watched the tape? You know what I mean? Like to say, we got to watch the tape. We got to watch it. Like, why can't if I was a head coach, maybe this is just me, but like when Rex Ryan would go up there, like he would give it to you like raw, unfit. Like I'm not saying you got to be like vulgar, but he would say we sucked. Like Jordan Love didn't play well. Our O-line didn't play, like whatever it was, right? Like why can't it's like this new era where it's like they want to coddle these guys almost. Like why they're getting paid millions. Like you and I go to our jobs. If we don't do our jobs well, we get crapped on, right?
Yep.
We have to say to our boss, hey, I sucked, or I need to get better. Like, these guys are like babies, like I just don't understand why. Like, and maybe it's a thing where, hey, if Matt LaFleur gets up on the podium and says this and that, because not to take anything away from Green Bay. Green Bay is like a lore, in the NFL, but it's cold weather. Like, it has its advantages and disadvantages on why you'd want to go there, right? Like, if you interview players, maybe it's like 7 out of 10 players want to go to the Rams because it's LA, it's SoFi, it's nice, like everything compared to the Packers because of just the elements, right?
Yep.
So maybe it's one of those things, like, we're looking at it from a bird's eye view. It's like, if you're Matt LaFleur, you gotta be nice to the media, like talking about your team, because if you want other players to come in the building, you want to have that culture too. Like that Rex Ryan thing in New York, maybe that doesn't appeal to 60% of players, right? And now you go out and try and get guys in the offseason. You're like, oh my goodness, I don't want to play for that. Like, imagine that guy's going to call me or rip me a new one if I go out there and throw 2 or 3 picks. So I totally understand from a fan base perspective. I hate it too. I personally do. I just, when there's coaches out there like Tomlin, like some other guys that'll come out and say, oh man, well, we did we didn't do this, we didn't do, but then you see the same thing over, and it's just whatever. If Matt LaFleur says the crappiest things on his press conference, but they come out next year and go 13-4 and look completely different, then you just flush it. Now, if they look the same or they regress, then you even hate it more. Like, you know what I mean? So that's how I look at that perspective. But
I don't know how we could regress anymore from what we saw this season. I don't know how, if it goes even more
double-digit
backwards,
wins though. No, I get it.
If it goes even more backwards than what we saw this season, it could lead to a firing. And I think it could be early on in the season that we could see something like that go across. Todd did say also hire a legit offensive coordinator, call plays. I could see that too. I really could. I think Brian Gutekunst has got to call Matt LaFleur into his office, and he needs to say, hey, buddy, your seat's not hot yet, but it's going to be. You got an offseason. I'm going to get you pieces, right? Because they have a lot of cap space now. They have finally out of some contracts that have been on the books for a while, right? They got some money to spend. So I'm going to assume Brian Gutekunst is going to go out. He's going to, I heard Josh Jacobs say, I'm going to get some of my guys, right? Max Crosby was always in that talks. Maybe getting a guy like him, a legit pass rusher, is a main thing that we think they need. Maybe they go get a wide receiver, right? We talked about Devontae Adams. Maybe they bring him in. Maybe a guy like, I don't think T. Higgins, but, everybody's like, oh, hopefully T. Higgins, right? Maybe they go get a receiver in there. They get some of these guys. I would go, I believe, who's that receiver from the Raiders? I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. He's darn good. I think he's like number 12. What the heck? Jacoby Myers. Myers with the Raiders there. Maybe they go grab a guy like him, right? Josh Jacobs knows all about these guys from the Raiders. Maybe they bring in a guy like him. He had no drop passes this last season. Maybe they bring in a piece like that. They get cornerbacks there in the draft, and they say, hey, okay, you got your guys now. I got you legit dudes. Can you figure it out now? Can you put it all together now? Because if Jordan Love takes more steps back, you can't have your franchise quarterback looking like this. You can't. You can't have your franchise quarterback looking like this. You can't use the excuse of we're a young football team anymore. That's done. Now, after this season, maybe, just maybe, all the people out there who wanted to say it's a young football team, okay. But after this season, we're done with that. We're done with that. The excuse of young football is done. They have postseason experience now for 2 straight years. They've played how many games now together? This is an experienced group. They've been there, done that. They haven't been to a Super Bowl, but they've been there, done that. So now it's about taking that next step. Now it's about, I don't know if it starts with winning the division, right? That's tough to do now. You have to get ahead of the Lions. Vikings are up there now. You got to get ahead of the Vikings. I don't know what they're going to do with Sam Darnold. We're going to wait and see on that. But there's a lot of things a lot of question marks that the Packers have heading into the offseason here. So we got to get a break. We're a little over the 30-minute mark here. Holy crap. We got to get over the break here. We're going to get to our ad break, come back. I want to talk about that Badgers-Ohio State game because the Badgers, holy crap, they had me on the edge of my seat last night, and that end of that game took way too long. So we're going to get to the ad break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about that Badger game, and then we're going to get to more Packers here at the end of the show. But make sure, if you're in the comment section, you can keep flooding it with anything you want to talk about tonight because we'd love to hear what you guys got to say. So we're going to get to the ads. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in to see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Next, we have Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Have you been injured recently, whether it was at work, shoveling snow, or mowing the lawn? Stop in and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He will get you right, get you back to work, back to shoveling snow, back to mowing the lawn, doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever. And then we have Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear.
Sweet gear indeed. And also make sure you check them out there. Check out the Wisco Sports on the go. Go to Game Day Supply, search us up there. You can find all of our swag, t-shirts, hoodies, anything you need, they can make it up for you. And hockey gear, they got hockey gear, they got everything you need. So make sure you're checking out Game Day Supply there. And also Warm Kids Wisconsin. I always forget to mention them. I'm sorry. I know he's in the comments tonight there, but Warm Kids Wisconsin, their mission, and if you haven't searched them up, make sure you search them up out there. Their mission is to give kids warm clothes this winter season all around central Wisconsin. The more you give, the more they're able to expand. They're joining school districts left and right. They go as far north as Stanley. They're all over the place here in central Wisconsin. So make sure you're checking out Warm Kids Wisconsin. See how you can donate. You can find links all over the place. Make sure you hit us up. We can help you guys find those links to donate there. Get kids warm clothes because, man, oh, man, we know how cold it is. We know how hard it is for us to stay warm. Guess what? Those kids still want to go outside and play. So get them some warm clothes this winter season there. So, Aaron, I want to get to this Badger game because, man, oh, man, why do the Badgers got to do this to me sometimes, Aaron? Why do they got to do it to me, right? They go up big early in this game, and I'm like, okay, right, we're going to coast. We're going to coast to a win here, right? They're up 17 at the break. I'm like, there we go. It's at home. Badgers are feeling it. Ohio State can't shoot. We're feeling good about ourselves. Second half got a little bit different, right? Ohio State came out in the second half, went on a 10-2 run, forced that Badgers team to do some things they didn't want to do in this one. Badgers couldn't shoot in the second half. It was one of those games. It was a tale of two halves, and Wisconsin narrowly hangs on 70-68 in that one. So I want to discuss this game because there's a lot of things coming out of here that I don't like. That I don't like about this Badger team. I shouldn't say that I don't like about this Badger team, but that irk me a little bit, right? Kind of irritate me. So Stephen Crowl, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. And Greg Gard got all over his case, told him he was sucking, said, you got to be more aggressive. Get after it, brother. You're 7 foot. Why do you have one rebound in a basketball game? And that was true. I mean, we said it was point blank. Like, that was true. We talked about before with Matt LaFleur holding his players accountable and being accountable himself and everything like that. Greg Gard holds his guys accountable. We see that now. Right? We've heard it multiple times. He told us John Tonje's got to be better. John Tonje got better. He told us Stephen Crowl needs to be more aggressive. Stephen Crowl became more aggressive, he went after his shot, got better in the post. He's doing those things now. So I love that. I love what I'm getting out of Greg Gard there and players being coachable. That's the biggest thing I take away from that because we talk about the new college basketball, the new college game. When players get told something by a coach that they don't like, hey, you're being soft. Hey, you're not doing this right. 9 times out of 10, they're like, I don't like you anymore. You're a meanie. I'm gonna hit the road, right? That's a big thing now in college sports. Stephen Crowl said, no, I agree. I've been sucking. I got to be better, right? I got to be better for my guys here. I'm gonna improve. That's what we've seen. Stephen Crowl was big time in this game. But what irritated me the most is this game got close at the end, and they went away from Stephen Crowl. The Badgers get to this crappy, I don't understand it. They get to this crappy ISO ball on the perimeter where they pass the ball on the perimeter, stick it out there, and then late in the shot clock, they're going to force up a bad shot. Consistently. I just don't understand it. You go through a game, and when you're working it inside to Crowl and you're working it through the post, everything looks good. Stephen Crowl was playing a good game. 5 for 10 from the floor in this one. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. He had 14 points. Got into foul trouble, right? But outside of that, was playing a solid game. But you went away from him. You go away from Crowl late. And it blows my mind. It does. It blows my mind. Because when it's working, why do you not go back to it late in the game? Why do you go away from it? Why do you try to play survival ball when you could go after it, attack it, do those little things that you were doing earlier in this game? Because late in this game, I mean, there was Max Klesmit forced up a shot from the corner there late in the second half there. I believe I was just going to double check there, but John Tanjay had a miss late in this one. And then John Blackwell was missing free throws left and right. I mean, it was just the end of this game was rough on the Badgers. And I thought a lot of it was the fact that they went away from the big guy. They went away from him. I don't understand it. I don't like it. I think that they have to be better in that aspect there, because at that point, you want to slow down the game. You want to slow it down, but you don't want to stick it out at the perimeter. You're not playing keep away, right? You have it was a 5-point lead at that point. Ohio State's closing it. They're hitting shots. You got to find ways to close games out better. And that's working the offense as it's working, right? So that's something I came away where I was kind of ticked off at this team here. But outside of that, I thought defensively they played a lot better. They've been getting a lot better over the last couple games, but they were a lot better in this game. Second half got a little bit iffy there, but that first half, I mean, holding a team to 20 points there and terrible from the field. I liked what I saw defensively out of the Badgers, especially in that first half there. John Blackwell continues to be a dog, but John Blackwell, I think sometimes this Badger team, they get too unselfish. Right? They get too unselfish. John Blackwell started this game on a 9-0 run all by himself. He's up 9-2, right? It's John Blackwell against Ohio State start this game. 9-2, John Blackwell's winning. Then John Blackwell didn't take another shot after that. They kind of went away from John Blackwell. They went away from what was going on early on in this one. Ohio State did adjust a little bit, but he started to go away from it. So the Badgers, what gets to me sometimes is they go away from attacking the rim, which is what John Blackwell does best. He's real good getting to the rim, and he's also good in that mid-range shot. I mean, he's one of the only guys that you see really that uses the mid-range, right? Nowadays, it's either it's a layup or it's a three, right? The mid-range is kind of a lost art. Not many guys are willing or going to pull that mid-range shot. John Blackwell is consistent in there. It's just getting there, right? And he's real good at getting there. When the Badgers need that guy, I want to see John Blackwell take that step and be that guy. I want to see him take that next step and be the guy that the Badgers need him to be. So that's something I've seen with John Blackwell there. But when this team gets downhill and they get to the rim and create shots, create fouls, when they get down there, they are hard to beat. That's what you saw in this game. They are hard to beat. Because you look at that first half, I don't think, consistently throughout this game, the Badgers didn't shoot the ball extremely well. Look at the 5 for 22 from 3 and the 20 for 48 from the field in this one. They didn't shoot the ball overly well. But what they did well was get to the free throw line 28 times. Now, 25 for 28. 2 of those misses came late in the game from John Blackwell. So, you talk about going up to that point. They were 25 for 26 at one point in this game. I mean, they were shooting from the free throw line well. That's a big reason why they had the big lead, was getting to the free throw line early in the first half, attacking the basket, attacking Ohio State players, getting them in awkward positions where they had to foul. Otherwise, they were getting beat to the rim there. So that's something the Badgers did well. Second half kind of flipped on them there, and they the ball kind of got glued to the perimeter, which I don't like. That's something I don't like out of this Badger team. When they get to the rim, this is a tough team to beat there. So I loved what I saw there. Carter Gilmore, I don't know what it is with this guy, but I just got to say, this dude if I had to look at the entire Badgers unit, and you asked me, like, who put in the most work in the offseason? Who was that guy who you believe put in the most work on his game? Carter Gilmore put in the most work. Watching him shoot at this point, he was 2 for 3 from the floor and 1 for 1 from downtown. Watching him shoot at this point, he is a confident shooter. I could not have said that about Carter Gilmore last year. He is a confident shooter now. He has a smooth stroke from deep. He's not afraid to shoot it. I wish sometimes he'd stop with that head fake and that shot fake, and he would just pull it, because I'm okay with him shooting 2 to 3 a game. I really am. I'm okay with him shooting 2 to 3 a game. Sometimes I think I don't want to say he doesn't want to be the guy, but he tries to share the basketball. And that's where I'm talking about the selfishness, right? I want this team to be unselfish, but I want him to take the shots when they're there. And Carter Gilmore, he gets some open shots and pull that baby. He has got a smooth shot. And when he's feeling it, he's feeling it. He's been consistent for this Badger team right now. So I love what I saw out of him in this one. Free throw line, best in the country. They're the best in the country for a reason right now. They are shooting a free throw at a high clip. And that, like I said, has a lot to do with them getting downhill, getting to the rim, doing their thing when they get there, drawing fouls. A lot of Marquette fans I hear out there, they're like, not all of them, but I've heard a couple Marquette fans. They're like, that's all they can do. That's all they can do is draw fouls. I tell you what, in a Big Ten game, if you can get to the foul line and you can knock down your free throws, I'm all in with that. I am all in with that. Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes in a game like this where the Badgers did not have their best shooting night. Getting to the free throw line and taking care of your business there, that's how they won this basketball game. So I'm good with it. You get to the free throw line, you do your magic. I mean, good teams get to the free throw line. When you can't score, you find other ways to score. That's getting downhill, getting to the free throw line. So I love that there. Looking at this team outside of that, I talked about Crowley's got to be a little bit smarter. The offensive glass in that second half got a little bit rough in the Badgers. Ohio State was able to collect some offensive rebounds in this one. They had 9. And a lot of them came in that second half. Their second chance buckets. The Badgers, they were up by 6. There was a missed shot, offensive rebound, put back, got points for Ohio State. It just helped the run, right? It helps the momentum of Ohio State. So cleaning up that glass, that's something that I came away from this game for the Badgers that they have to be a little bit better on. Getting guys out of there, boxing out, finding your guy, clearing them out of the lane, coming in and clearing the glass. The little things, right? They were were they out rebounded this game? Yeah, out rebounded by 1. But a big part of that was the offensive glass. 9 offensive rebounds for Ohio State. That's too many. That is too many. I don't care who it is. That is too many. You give up 9 offensive rebounds. That's a tough game. That is a tough game because you're asking for a lot of second chance buckets, and second chance buckets hurt badly, especially when you got 20. I mean, you talk about Ohio State with 32 points in the paint in this game here. They outdid Wisconsin in the paint. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's the way you get beat, especially against Ohio State, especially when Ohio State's on the road. So second chance points, that's something that needs to be cleaned up there. Outside of that, yeah, like I was talking, the stagnant offense, that's the big thing I came away from this one with was the stagnant offense late. Badgers kind of got glued to the perimeter. You hate to see that out of a team who, I mean, their offense has been nothing but stellar this season. I mean, look at points per game, looking at their efficiency. And in this game, it kind of went stale on them, which is going to happen. It's going to happen, but it's a matter of when it goes stale, what are you doing to create shots? And I thought late in the second half when it was stale, they didn't do a lot to create those shots. So that's something I'm looking at. They could have easily put up, I mean, if they consistently kept going through it, I think they could have actually pulled away in this game at one point there, but I think they got away from that. They were just playing survival mode. And I that's something that I've harped on Greg Gard about for years when he does it is some of his teams like to go in survival mode. They like to play iso ball, get a ball screen, and then just try and create off of that. The Badgers, when they're at their best, are creating through the post. They're creating through Steven Crowell. They're creating through cutters, guys getting downhill and getting to the rim, not guys trying to create and hit a jump shot from 3. That's not what the Badgers game is. Can they do it? Yeah, they can do it. But consistently, no, that's not where I'm looking with this team. So Badgers got that big win. I mean, Aaron, was there any stats, I guess, that stuck out to you coming off this Ohio State game for the Badgers?
I want to say just kind of their threes, right? The threes and watching this game back, like I did, like how you said McGee, McGee, right? Number 7 there, and I want those guys pulling it too. Like I watching McGee shoot, that's like you said, smooth as butter, right? Like that is there's guys, you'll see guys at Duke, you'll see guys that can't to shoot like that. Not to take anything away from Wisconsin there at all, but I'm just saying marquee guys, having that sweet stroke, boom, and he's got it. So I would let him shoot more. I would encourage, if I'm Wisconsin coaching staff, I'm especially maybe not against an Ohio State caliber opponent because that's a good basketball team. Not a great basketball team, but a good basketball team, right? But yeah, I mean, just Wisconsin, and I'm not trying to only point out negatives because I think there were, obviously you beat Ohio State, it's an accomplishment any day of the week, twice on Sundays, but 5 for 22 from downtown. I mean, that's a little rough, right? That's not what you want to see from Wisconsin there at a 22% clip. I mean, Ohio State shooting 5 for 17, so same amount of makes, just less attempts. So, you don't know what would happen if they shot more. But, yeah, I mean, you already went over the free throws, that number 1 team in the nation, and they continue that. That's what you want to see. I mean, you expect, I don't want to say you expect, but one of these games maybe to go not sideways, but be a little bit of a drop off on that. But I mean, hey, if you can shoot that way all season long, that helps. That definitely doesn't hurt you. So, 25 for 28 from the free throw line. I don't know. I totally agree with you though in the fact that it was a game of two halves. Like, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm kind of like, okay, boys, we got the win, but we got like, don't get complacent, right? Because you see what can happen very quickly. I mean, basketball in the last couple of minutes comes down to free throws, this and that, which favors Wisconsin, like 10 times out of 10. But you can't let the gas off the pedal. And to your point, like if something's working, I don't understand it. It's football, basketball, any sport, right? If something's working, I would not go away from it until, don't be predictable, right? But basketball, it's not like you're running, football is a lot more strategic, I would say, in the fact that, they can make adjustments to you. Sure, they can make adjustments if you're pounding the paint, but it's not to the same level, right? Like give Steven Crowder the ball, dominate the paint like you were in the first half. Who knows? This might have been easier for you because, like you say, they go out to the three, they start trying to just, bang everything from out there, and they're not having a great shooting night from three. So, you hope to not see that continue. But hey, you got out of there with a win. Wasn't the prettiest win, but you're going to have those. But I just more look at, the kind of the whole idea, right? The game plan, how it progressed in the second half. Like that makes you scratch your head and hope that they don't do that type of thing consistently, right?
Yeah. No, let's take one positive here to end it. You won the game.
Exactly.
You were in a rock fight and you won the game. That's what it was. This was, nobody was hitting. You look at Ohio State, you look at the Wisconsin team, nobody was hitting. It was a bad shooting night for both teams. We look at the percentages from the floor, look at the 3-point percentage. It was ugly. This was an ugly game, but you found a way. And that's what matters. End of the day, you play a good team. Ohio State's a good team. You look at their record, 10-7 overall, 2-4 in conference play. Yes, doesn't look great. But you look at the teams they've played. They beat Texas. They got a close loss against Texas A&M. They lost close to Pitt by 1. That was on that buzzer beater. They lost to Maryland. They have a loss or win against Rutgers there. They lost to, Auburn. Everybody loses to Auburn. But you look at that game against Kentucky. They blew out Kentucky by 20 points. So, they have a pretty good resume already. You're talking about a pretty good Ohio State team. And it was in the Kohl Center. You got to take care of your business on your home court or on your home court there. And the Badgers found a way. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. You found a way. You found a way to take care of business. There's a lot of things that you come off this game, like we were talking about, the offense getting kind of stagnant near the end. You come away with the turnovers, right? There was 11 turnovers for the Badgers. Ohio State had 7 steals in this game. So that's being a little bit more careful with the basketball, right? Controlling the basketball out there. That's something you come away from this game looking at. But outside of that, you won the game. And Nolan Winter didn't have, I don't know what was going on with Nolan Winter. I didn't get into that very much. I got Greg Gard's press conference here written up there. My wife, she's too good. She's too good. She's too good at what she does. She went through, she transcribed the press conferences for us here. We got all of them up in front of us here. You look at, and one of the best ones I saw was the top of the press conference. They asked John Blackwell, were you told to intentionally miss that last free throw? And John Blackwell said, yeah, I was trying to miss it, and he hit it, right? The free throw before, and this is what makes it even better. The free throw before that, it was late in the game. The Badgers were up by 1. And John Blackwell went to the free throw line. There was like 1.5 seconds left in the game. And he goes and he misses the free throw, right? It was 2 shots, misses the free throw. So they call a timeout. And, you're sitting there, you're speculating, right? Will he miss on purpose? Will he try to miss on purpose? And, I can't remember, it was, what the heck's his name? I can't remember the announcer there, but he's like, you're a college guy. You don't know how to miss on purpose, right? So John Blackwell, you listen to him in the press conference, and he says, yes, I was trying to miss that one. Like, he was trying to miss it and he made it. He was trying to make the other one and he missed it. Like, that's the irony of what was going on in this one. But they also asked Blackwell, you got off to a good start. What did they switch on you? Did you notice anything different in the defense after you hit your first 3? And what he said was, I think they tried to stop me in transition, pick me up better, tried to close gaps, which they did. That's what we saw there in this one, was it kind of slowed down John Blackwell. So he kind of answered that one there. Steven Crowell, they asked him, up 17. Then all of a sudden the game was close. It's a 1-point game. What goes into keeping it together at that juncture? And he said, we know it's Division I basketball. You're not going to blow every team out. You know that they are going to make a run, and it's weathering that. And that's the big thing that you want to hammer home to, is that the Badgers had that 17-point lead. And Ohio State threw their haymaker, and they came all the way back. They had you within 1 point. and you weathered that. You found a way. And that's the big thing we came away with, was talking about, was finding that way to win this one here. Greg Gard, he won his 200th game. So that was pretty cool to see. That was his 200th win there and Madison. They asked him what he kind of meant to him. Touch on what it's meant to you and what it means as a coach. And he said, I don't think I would be the player I am today. They're talking to Blackwell there. And the coaches around him pushing on different ways throughout the years. It has been fun to play for him and hopefully make a deeper run into the tournament. So that was what they had to say on Greg Gard there. We have more here to talk about with the press conference, but we're not going to get through it all tonight here on the show. But all in all, like you can see in all these different talks here, a great win for the Badgers, surviving a home game, right? Surviving. Sometimes you just got to survive, and that's Big Ten basketball. Sometimes you just got to survive, and this prepares you for a tournament game. Just think about it. You get, and a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean a tournament game, right? You go up 17, you should win that game. Ask Texas A&M, I believe it was, who are they playing? Northern Iowa. Was that the game against Northern Iowa where it's like a 12-point game or so with like 30 seconds left, and Texas A&M came all the way back to tie it and go to overtime and win it down by 12 with 30 seconds left? Like, it was an improbable comeback. I think Alex Caruso was on that Texas A&M team. But that's what I'm saying is, you get to March, these are the games that you remember, because these are the hard-nosed fought wins, right? Sometimes you go to March, you're not playing in your home building. You're playing on the road. You might not have your best shooting half. You might have a good first half, but your second half goes cold. That other team, it's March, right? They can get hot. We see the upsets all the time. They can get hot. It's about what team can persevere, what team can weather the storm, take the punches, and find a way to win those basketball games. That's what we saw Wisconsin do. So that's the big thing. When you win games like this, it builds your character. It builds you up. It teaches you those little things that you need to get better at. And that's where I come back to the free throws. If you can be a good free throw shooting team, if you can find ways to get it from the line, that's huge. That's huge, especially in games like this where the consistency is not there from the outside. So not a great win. It's a good win, right? A good win for the Badgers against Ohio State. They're a good team in Ohio State. But all in all, you want to see little things, right? Little things improved, and the Badgers will be just fine. We're not sitting here trying to harp on them and say like they're screwed. This game showed us that they're not a good basketball team. Like they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure it out. Everything's fine. We can all be okay with it. Next game up, USC. So they'll take on USC. That'll be on Saturday. They'll have their little West Coast road trip. They'll take on USC on Saturday there, the 18th, and then on the 21st. So that'll be next week, Tuesday. They have UCLA. That'll also be on the road there. So they're going to have a little West Coast swing and then come back to Madison to take on Nebraska. So we'll get more into the Badgers here on Friday as we preview that game against USC. We'll talk about that USC Trojans team because I believe USC just came off of a win against who did they just beat last night there? They just beat Iowa, and they came off a win against Illinois. So this USC team, they just beat Illinois. We know it's a decent enough team to pull off some wins. So that's going to be a tough game for the Badgers, especially on the road against USC, a pretty good team in USC. So, Aaron, we're past the break here. You got me a fact of the day for the day, or you want to hit the fact of the day after the ad break? You got a fact of the day?
Yeah, we'll squeeze her in real quick.
There we go. Let's get to the fact of the day. So here's our fact of the day for January 15th.
Now this seems like not that long ago. I know you'll remember this. Pretty much like the biggest story at the time. In 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 landed on the Hudson River. I'm sure you remember that, right?
Was that Sully? Is that the movie Sully?
Yep.
Yeah.
That in 2009 on this. I mean, that you're going back 15 years now. 15 years ago.
I was
that
9
seems
years
like that
old.
could have been like 5 years ago. No, I mean between 5 and 10 years ago, I wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
right?
I think the movie came out like 5 years ago. Made it seem like it was more recent.
Yeah. No, I didn't even see the movie. I should see the movie.
It's a pretty good movie. It is a pretty darn good movie, if I got to say so myself. Like, I would recommend it. I would highly recommend it.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, flying gives me tremendous things. I just don't like being stuck in one place.
Me too. Hate it. Hate it. When I don't have control, I hate it. So like heights, falling. I work a job where I go up on lifts every day. Like the one we were up on, it was like 80 feet in the air. We were up there, and
that's playing around.
Petrified. Like heights are not my thing. I always tell my boss, I'm like, I'm scared of heights, and he just laughs at me because when I get up high enough, I just start bound. Like I think my buddy and I, when my coworker and I, we were working one day. I think it was the Cotton Eye Joe came on. we started dancing to the Cotton Eye Joe up on the boom lift there, and the whole lift came down to the ground. We weren't very high up. We were like 10, little over 10 feet. And the whole thing comes boof down on the ground there. It was one of these articulators, so like a snorkel lift. So it just dropped the basket straight down. So we're just on the ground now. And like after that day, I didn't want to do the Cotton Eye Joe on the lift anymore. But after that, my boss never believes me that I'm scared of heights. I tell him all the time, I'm like, dude, I am deathly terrified of heights. He's like, you're not. Shut up. You're fine. Go. Right? And he booms me up 80 feet.
Dude, that's one. No,
like, done with
not
you.
To take anything away from you like that. That by itself is definitely like you have to be brave for. But like being,
you're crying inside. You're crying inside the whole time.
Well, yeah, and being like for me, like being up. What is it? 40. I think they go to 40,000 at one point. Like these commercial airlines.
Yes.
That I don't know, man. Like you said, no control. I just don't like that I can't get out of there. Like I'm a very like I want to go do something. Like I can sit here with you, do a podcast, that's fine. But like if I'm stuck, even if I was stuck in like a classroom for 6 hours, I start like I got to get out of here. Like I just got to go. I got to see something different. I got to take a breath of fresh air. That's to me like next time I get on a plane, I'm going to the doctor. I'm saying, give me something that knocks me out because I don't want to be awake for this experience. I just don't. It's not my thing. So those people, that day, I mean, don't get me wrong. They had to have been like, what are we doing? Like, I know they came over the loudspeaker and announced it, but like, oh my goodness, man, my hands, like I would be dripping in sweat knowing that we're about to land in the Hudson River in New York City. Like that was not part of the plan here. Like that, and then. You got to think they got on another plane and boof, they're off to wherever I don't know where that flight was going because it took off in New York from what I understand. I think that was the original thing. It just then took off and then.
I'd have to go way back. My fact of the day was nothing near that. I got my history calendar here. It was Elizabeth I is crowned Queen of England. That was my fact of the day there.
Significant.
Significant. It was significant. I'll tell you that. My first time flying. Oh, we got a break here. Before we get to the break. My first time flying, went with my wife. We went down to Texas there. And she's like, you want a window seat? I'm like, no. I want to be far away from that window. Like, I want to be nowhere near that. The worst part is I couldn't drink on the flight. If I could drink a few and just be tossed back, like I'd probably loosen up. But I think it's the fact that I was just drinking a Diet Coke. I'm sipping a Diet Coke. Like I'm over here sipping a Diet. Like what is that doing for me? What is that doing? Or like nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I got to say though, props. Bill Michaels is what gets me through my heights. Because I just turn the radio up. I listen to Bill Michaels tell me about why the Packers are doing this wrong or what's going on with the Bucs or whatever. I listen to Bill. Bill calms me down. He calms me down every time. So hats off to Bill Michaels. You might never see this, but hats off to you. Thank you for getting me over my fear of heights there. What's up, Kyle? We'll talk to you on the other side of the break. We'll be right back here after the ad break.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Marshfield Motor Speedway, located 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great racing. I cannot think of a better way to spend a summer day or night than down at the track. Next is Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin, located at the Marshfield Mall. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sports cards, memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And then we have Peggy Sue Beslick, Century 21. Do you want to find your dream home or maybe looking to sell your current property? Let Peggy Sue Beslick at Century 21 help you with all of your housing or property needs.
New year, Aaron. Buy, sell, get rid of that clunker. That's what you got to do. See Peggy Sue at Century 21. That's what you got to do. So I want to get back into the Packers because, like I said, my wife, she's too good at what she does. She produces 3/4 of our show for us. We just come on here. We just talk. We have no idea what's going on. She produces the show. She writes everything. So I just wanted her to know that she does it all for us here. But I want to get into this because she wrote down some of the key things that we saw in that Matt LaFleur press conference. I'm trying to figure out the legal terms of if I can use the press. I talked to the radio station. They're like, you can use the press conferences on your show. You can play the audio. And then I was like, yeah, but from where? Right. So I got to figure that one out. So we're just going to read through it. We're going to talk about some of the key points that we saw in there. So one of the ones that stuck out to me The question was specifically on turnovers. Jordan went 7 straight games without an interception. What changed in Philly? What did you change in the pick? Or what did you think about of those picks? So first one, he said the pick to Slay was a heck of a play. He said Slay made a heck of a play on the ball. I don't want to get into that one because it was a terrible throw. I thought it was a terrible throw. I thought he underthrew Wicks. Throws it to the outside. It's there. Like if he throws it to the outside, it's there. Maybe it's not caught. Maybe Slay makes a play, tips it out of bounds. But if you throw it to the outside of him and over the top, I don't think Slay's able to make that play. I really don't. So I thought it was a terrible throw, but Matt LaFleur said, I don't think so. He said the second pick, and this is the one that irks me because I had to watch this. I pulled it up on my screen here. I've watched it 14 times over again, and I have no idea what Matt LaFleur's looking at. So he says, and this was the one to Bond. This was the one over the middle of Bond. He says that route's got to be run at 20 yards. We were at 15. The ball should never be in that far. I saw what Jordan saw. There is an open hole in the defense, but when you are not in the right route depth, bad things happen. Then the last one, if it was a prayer, he said, and that was about that one to Bo Melton, was just chucking it up there. I don't know what. I'm rewatching this thing 14 times over again, and you can say, sure, done, darn, did. Maybe you was the wrong route ran. Sure, that's fine. Like the wrong route was ran. I get it. Like that happens. Why was the ball thrown where it was? That's what I don't understand. Because I mentioned it the other day. When I watched that pick, when I'm watching it, it looks like the Braden Locke against Penn State, where that ball was just nowhere near anybody. I watched that route. I'm watching it right now here. Tucker Kraft stumbles coming out of the backfield. He tries to do a chip block, stumbles. Behind him is, I believe that's Malik Heath coming across the middle there. He's covered up. Malik Heath's covered up. Maybe if he breaks it off earlier, sure. But Zach, either you're telling me that Zach Bond read that thing like a book and he knew it was coming, or just maybe Jordan Love just didn't see it. He didn't see it. And if Matt LaFleur saw what Jordan saw, I would hope to God that Jordan saw Zach Bond standing over the middle because Zach Bond didn't move. That's the thing that irks me is Zach Bond didn't move out of his position. He was there. He was standing still. He's dropped back into his zone coverage, basically just watching the backfield to see what Jordan Love decides to do back there. Zach Bond does not stop. He moves to his left. He shuffles to the left. That ball was to nobody. Nobody at all. Tucker Kraft stumbled. You got to see that. Like, you got to be able to read that quick, right? Tucker Kraft got back up. If you throw it to him, you dump it off, right? He's there. But you didn't make a good throw. So I do not agree with that one at all. I read that. I don't agree with that one at all. Let's see here. He said, this was the question. I know you would fix it if you had a solution, but these slow starts in these big games, do you have a why, at least, if not a solution, to why you have a chronic problem? Matt LaFleur says you got to maximize all your opportunities, so you got to execute. And I can tell you specifically because it is so fresh in that last game, we did not do a great job in the pocket, in the passing game. And then there were some runs that we had bad looks that we ran into. And then there were some other times where we had some running lanes and we don't win in our one-on-ones. We don't win a block, and that's football. We collectively have got to be better. Matt LaFleur, I want to be honest with you. All I want to hear is I have to be better. I have to be better. I have to be better on scheming guys open. I have to be better at play calling. I have to be better at getting my guys ready to go. I have to be better on getting my first 15. You script the first 15 plays of the game. First 15 plays, you script them. You script them. Why is it consistent? Because we're not asking about just this game. The question is, why are you consistently coming out flat? Why is it against the Lions? Why is it against the Eagles week 1? Why is it against the Vikings first time around? The Lions again, the Vikings. Why is it consistently you come out flat over and over and over again? And the only crappy answer you can give me is, well, we got to be better. We got to be better. It took you 18 weeks of football, right? 18 games to come up with that. That's your answer to me? After it's all said and done, we have to be better. Why was that not getting better? The first time you saw the Vikings and Lions, why did you not improve, right? Because they always say it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but sometimes it's hard to beat a team twice, right? Look at the Eagles against the Commanders. Hard to beat a team twice. because they get that feeling about you. They get it. They see what you're about. They see what you want to do with the football. They see what you want to do on offense. On defense, they see how they want to play you, right? The Vikings switched to a man coverage against Green Bay because they can't win one-on-ones. What are you going to do to fix that? What are you going to draw up? Nothing. That's my biggest problem. I mean, Aaron, are you seeing the same thing? That is my biggest problem with it, is that in that question, yes, you said we got to maximize opportunities. I get that. I understand that. And I do believe that collectively the Green Bay offense has to be better. But at the same time, Matt LaFleur has to be better. He has to be. The offense, these guys follow his tutelage, follow his leadership. They do what he wants, what he calls in there. So why did we not see improvement?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. To your first, like, because I just watched that Bond interception like 3 times back, and I'm thinking, like, I don't understand, because Tucker Kraft, like you say, stumbles out of the backfield, but then it's still a simulation where, like, he's not running
open.
like,
if you
standing there
the ball, yes. If you
he's standing there flat-footed.
Open.
It's not like they're running. You run like a double slant in Madden, where like if you ever play NCAA, like if you throw it at the wrong time, like if you throw it at like when the receiver's not like a second before the receiver's not breaking, boom, it's pick six. Like almost every. And I know it's a video game, but like this is a situation where I almost thought he was throwing to, I forget who the other guy downfield, because that guy was like
Malik Heath behind him there, but he was covered up. Like
he was like blanket, like he was he had nowhere to go. Like he was done for that, unless Jordan Love scrambles around and like completely, he runs a different route out of that. Maybe he gets open, but right there, that's, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying throw your, like, say to the media, hey, Jordan Love sucks. I'm not saying that, but can't you say he made the wrong read there, or like, hey, he overthrew Tucker Kraft, and like I don't understand how he can sit there and say I see the same thing Jordan Love, like how I don't understand.
If you
how,
saw that, you both suck. That's why if you saw
well,
that,
just being unbiased, like
yeah,
I'm not trying to pile on the Packers here. Like I'm just unbiased. Like I'm like, hey, Jordan Love completely messed that play up. Like we didn't execute. He doesn't even have to say that. We didn't execute that play near to what we should have. Leave it at that. Like I don't understand his evaluation there. I don't know why he's going that far with defending Jordan Love in that situation, but whatever. On the flip side, like that whole we need to be better. We need to, like, I hear coaches say it all the time. It's just, why doesn't a coach say, I need to put a plan in place to make us better? I will do that. And like, if they came out next year and you see a similar result, but they're doing different things, you wouldn't be as, like, you'd be like pissed, sure, but like you wouldn't be as mad as like, we need to be better, and then it's the same thing over. Like that is infuriating to a fan base, to even like organization, right? Like the people above him are sitting there like, explain, because there's no way they he gets called into their office and he's like, we need to be better. Like he's not. If he gives them that answer, they're like, dude, what are you a door? Like you're famous, saying, are you a doorknob? Like, are you actually, like, come on, like because I know you're not supposed to give the media everything so they can run with a story, but be like these vanilla, and Aaron Boone does it on the Yankees. Like there's so many examples of it, but come on, like that answer has to be better in my opinion. Like the answer itself has to be something of substance, right? We have to be better is like, you might as well have said nothing. That to me is just, it's useless. I don't know.
Yeah. Like we're not saying that it wasn't right to say like, hey, he ran the wrong route. Like that happens, right? But it also comes back to, for me, then, can Jordan Love go off schedule if the play blows up? If the play's not right, you're telling me just because they didn't run the right route that Jordan Love was just going to chuck it? Just say screw it and hum it across the middle of the field? Because if you look at that, was Malik Heath ever open? No, he wasn't open. And you got to be able to see a linebacker patrolling the center of the field there. Zach Bond didn't move that much. He threw it right in his arms. Zach Bond, I love that guy. Love Zach Bond. Wisconsin guy. Love him. Great linebacker. I want nothing but success for that guy. But he didn't have to do much. He just stood there and he just made the play. Like he threw it into his breadbasket. I mean, it's just the inconsistency. That's what I would have said. Is like, hey, we got to execute. We got to be more consistent. That's a big thing. We got to be more consistent. This was with the play action. We talked about play action. This is what I want to get to. So this was a question. Can you help me understand your play action game? When you got here, we all learned about how valuable it was and how it was a great job you guys did in marrying the run, looks like an actual run. It sure looks like you guys changed your blocking scheme to accommodate a really good running back. Is that a fair statement? In coaching, you have the philosophy. This is what Matt LaFleur said. In coaching, you have the philosophy on what you want to do and the foundation of what you want to do better. And you have to be stubborn on that kind of thing. And that's good coaching, putting your players in the best position possible. It is interesting when you look at the statistics. I am always curious. I see something, we are not doing play action enough. And then I go to our analytics people and they say, oh, no, you are one of the highest ranked in terms of percentage of the league. I think we are a third or something like that. I never know when it comes to these stats are coming from, to be honest with you. As far as center play action, we ran the ball more out of gun, and the efficiency at which the ball was night and day difference out of shotgun than it was under center. That's why we didn't do it. I think part of, but okay, it was night and day difference. Sure, it was night and day difference to you. But going under center adds another dynamic. When you are consistently in the shotgun, you don't have that same dynamic. When you go under center and you turn your back to the defense, the possibilities are still there where this could go multiple different ways. Jordan Love could keep it. Jordan Love could hand it off. Jordan Love could do this. He could do that. When you're in the shotgun, all you do is hand it off, right? You're going to look good in the run game with Josh Jacobs. You're just going to. The offensive line looked good due to Josh Jacobs, right? They weren't the best run blocking team in the world. They're pretty good in the pass. They weren't the best run blocking team. But guess what? You had one of the best run games of football. Why? You have Josh Jacobs. It's just how it works. So you're going to look good in the run game. The question is, how does that transpire into that passing game, right? How does that transpire over? Okay, it says they use the play action a lot. I'm going to call bullhooky. I'm going to call bullhooky on that because I don't see it. Watch the film. Watch it back. How often did you see play action? You call the stinking game. And you're telling me you believe that you utilize play action enough? I don't think so. I don't. I really don't. Because then why would every single person who talks Packer football be complaining that you don't utilize play action enough? Some very good minds, right? Some very good minds. Bill Michaels, one of the top football minds in the state of Wisconsin, right? Everybody listens to Bill Michaels' show every day, right? Why is Bill Michaels telling you don't run enough play action? Why? Why is he saying he's not seeing it? But you see it, right? You call the plays, so you must see it. Are they, is it audibles in the huddle? Is that what's changing it up? Like, I just don't get it. You're statistically, analytically, I want them to take analytics and statistics and just turn them sideways and show them straight up candy behinds. Like, that's what I want to see out there. Like, I'm done with that crap. Analytics. Kyle Shanahan was big for analytics, right? Big on it. Ask Dan Campbell what he does with his analytics. Because when you watch the Commanders and Lions play this weekend, and if there's a 4th and 5, both coaches are going to go for it. Wherever they are, they're going to go for it. They are. I mean, look at Dan Campbell. He went for it on the 30-yard line against the Packers. In his own territory, he went for it on a 4th and 1. The Packers stuffed him. I think it was a 4th and 2. They stuffed him. Got the ball back. Packers scored. Dan Campbell didn't look at the analytics. Sometimes you have to throw analytics to the wind. Sometimes you have to throw them to the wind and do what's going to make your team successful. What made you successful in the second half of last season? The play action game. When you have a guy like Josh Jacobs, when you have a guy like Tucker Kraft, when you have a guy like Jordan Love, when Jordan Love utilizes his skills of he can run, we know he can run, he's got that ability, but he's got a good ability to look off of defense too. And when you have those two abilities, the play action game is good. It looks good. But when you don't utilize it and you don't utilize it enough, you get sour tasting offenses. You get bad looking offenses. Which is what we saw. That's what we saw this season. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, Aaron.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. If they don't, if you don't expect them to do anything different, like, okay, so we talk about Bill Michaels, right? Like, why, if he can see it, if you can, like, I'm not saying that, these guys aren't smart, but like, it's the same thing when I watch a team that I root for, right? You see the same things over and over, and like, never to deviate away from that, or like, okay, we're always going to use analytics, like, to the analytics point, like, you have to have a feel for the game, right? Like, and I don't want to, like I said, I'm not trying to always take it back to situations that I'm watching, but like Penn State Notre Dame, right? It's 10-3 coming out of half, and like Notre Dame has momentum. That's a drive where if Notre Dame's like 4th and 2, 4th and 3, they're probably going to go like anywhere past the. I know it's different situation, but anywhere past the 50, like they're down a score. They feel like they're right in this game now. Their backup quarterback led them to it. Like my point being is you have to have a feel for the game, right?
Yep.
If you're solely like analytics doesn't factor in momentum, it doesn't factor in like the feel, the vibe of the game. Like if you're a coach or an organization, like because some of it comes organizationally, right? Like
yep.
we're this team, we're gonna go off analytics. That's how we operate. Our ownership says that's how we operate, so that's how we're gonna operate. That's not always a good thing. I'm not saying you have to be Dan Campbell, where it's like 4th and 8 on the 40-yard line and you're down 10 points. Like that game against San Fran last year, out there in San Fran, there were a couple of decisions. I'm like, man, and I'm not saying that that's everything. There's other things that lead to that, but you got to have a feel for, okay, we're going to trust our guys here. We're going to go, even if we don't get it right. These coaches, like you can't coach to be perfect, or you can't coach not to lose. If you coach not to lose, that's like playing not when you're not hurt. Like if Jalen Hurts was out there on Sunday and he's like, I'm never going to run the ball at all. And like, I'm just going to be safe. Like that doesn't win you ball games. And that especially doesn't win you ball games in the postseason. So, I mean, if I'm the Packers, like I said, maybe you don't have to go as far as what Dan Campbell does, or even Washington with Dan Quinn. We've seen it kind of sometimes there too, but you got to have a feel for it, right? Like you got to have that, like, okay, I trust Matt LaFleur to go for it here because it makes sense in this situation of the game. Like as the head coach, that's your job. We're going to go, we're not going to go. We're going to go, we're not going to go. And if you don't have that situational awareness, like Mike McCarthy in Dallas, I'm not saying so much in Green Bay, but in Dallas, I think he suffered from that too. Situational awareness. Like, okay, right here, we probably should go for it. No, we're going to punt it away. Like, and then you kind of screw yourself. So you're never going to be perfect in that realm of, decision-making, but when it's like, okay, man, come on. Like at one of these junctures, you got to make a different decision and you're not seeing it. It makes you scratch your head and it makes you think, does Matt LaFleur, is he like Kyle Shanahan, and the fact that like when it's a crucial decision to be made, does he second guess himself? Is he in his own head, right? Is he present in that moment to like say, I need to do this? And like I said, you're never going to be perfect, but hey, make some logical sense. Don't just, hey, we're going to analytics. I don't agree with that at all. I really don't.
Yeah, no, it just irritates the crap out of me sometimes. And, what irritated the crap out of me too is arguing with the reporters on what play action is. I mean, there's multiple questions where he's explaining to us what play action is. These guys aren't idiots. They watch the game of football. They understand the concept of a play action play. I can Google it and tell you what it is. They understand it. They're not asking the question for you to explain to them what play action is. We understand it. We want to know why you don't utilize it. So, I mean, that was just boneheaded there. We got time for one more thing that he said there. I wanted to pull it up real fast here. They asked about Jordan Love and what he wanted to see with him going in. So what is the next step for Jordan Love? That was the question. What was the next step for Jordan Love? There's a couple more before it about Jordan Love there, but what was his next step, right? And his answer: to continue to evolve as a vocal leader. He has taken steps to get there. The locker room respects him, not only as a person, but as the work he puts in. He is one of the guys. When guys are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, he is willing to voice that. This is all I got to say. This is what I got to say. I don't want Matt LaFleur to come out and tell me that Jordan Love needs to fix everything, because I don't want him to completely just kibosh this guy. But what I want to hear is, we need to work on his footwork. All right. We need to improve his footwork. We need to improve his vision. We need to improve his reads. We need to improve this, right? We need to improve these things. Because when I watched, and we harped on it, right? We said that we need to see guys in that locker room step up and be a leader. We thought that. We thought we needed to see guys do that in the huddle in the locker room. So I'm not going to completely discredit that. It would be nice to see Jordan Love step up to be that vocal leader, because this season it seemed like he was kind of distant from everybody. He was kind of on his own. He was kind of away from everybody on the sidelines and everything like that. So I will agree with that. But there is so much more that Jordan Love needs to improve than being a vocal leader. So much more. And that's what I want to hear. That's where I guess, because we're right at the end here. We're getting, we're right at that minute or hour 30 here. We got to wrap it up here. But when I hear that, when I hear this press conference, when I looked at all the answers to these press conferences, and if anybody out there hasn't looked at this press conference here, we'll probably dive into some more questions here next time on the show here. But when I hear the answers that he had to a lot of these questions, that's what pisses me off even more, because I don't want the vanilla answers. I don't want to give you the bullcrap answers. I don't want you to give me, this guy didn't play that bad and this guy didn't do that bad. I want you to give me what you're going to do to fix it. Because Packer fans, as much as, Vikings fan, my wife, she hates Packer fans. She thinks that we're all crazy. And, people, they hate Packer fans, right? Packer fans aren't stupid. We understand the game of football. We understand what transpired. We get all that. We want to know what you're going to do to fix it. We want to know when these reporters are asking these questions, they're asking the hard questions, right? The play action. They're asking about those. They're asking you about the interception problem. They're asking you about this and this and what Jordan needs to do in the offseason. When they're asking you those questions, we want to hear how you're going to improve this football team, how you're going to help this football team take that next step. I don't believe that in these questions, he answered that for me. He didn't move that needle, right? Aaron, you always tell me, does this coach move the needle for me? Does he move that needle? I don't believe that he moved the needle for me, which makes me even more worried heading into next year, because Mike McCarthy had people worried going into his last year in Green Bay, and it took a tailspin. I'm not firing Matt LaFleur. I'm not. But what I'm saying is, I don't think this guy realizes how much Packer fans care about what happens. Will care about what's going to be fixed, because they love Packer football. I mean, there's a lot of fans out there right now who are kind of like, what do I do now, right? Brewer baseball isn't back yet. We got the Badgers, we got the Bucs, we got all that going on right now. But right now, Packers are done for a while. And now all we can do is just sit here and wonder what would have happened if we would have figured it out. What would have happened if we would have put it together? You're not giving us those answers. And I think that's what irritates me the most. And we got to get more into this. Like I said before, and I got to give props to my wife once again here. She went through this entire press conference. She typed up all the questions for us. She typed up all the answers that he gave to those questions. She was fantastic in this. So I got to give props to her one more time here. But we want to get more into this press conference on Friday. I want to talk about more of these answers, because this press conference, the more I look at it, it just irritated me. Hearing the answers, hearing I don't know how, basically like, I don't know how I'm going to fix it. I'm just going to give you a bullcrap line and get this over with. And he's giggling and he's laughing. It's like, dude, we're pissed. We're pissed right now. We're upset. We're upset with how this went. I mean, just imagine Philly fans right now, right? If Nick Sirianni would have lost that game and he came out in his end of the year press conference and he gave us these kind of answers about the play action and about, his quarterback play and all that kind of stuff, Philly fans would be irate. They'd want him out. They'd be like, we're done with this guy. Packer fans, they're like, some of them are like, we're done with this guy. Some are like, get rid of him. But other ones are like, okay, dude, you got to figure it out. So I want to get more into this press conference on Friday here. Aaron's going to look through the questions too. He's going to find ones that kind of stuck out to him and things that we're going to talk about there on Friday. But we got to get more into this, because this thing irritated the crap out of me. It really did. So, Aaron, I mean, we're at the end. We're a little bit extra here tonight, but that's okay. We're at the end. Anything else you got to wrap us up here for the night?
Not real. There was something that popped in my head just a little bit ago. Of course, now I completely lost it. Shoot, I don't know. I can't bring it back into my cortex, right? As they say, I don't know what, but
it wasn't about beavers, was it? It wasn't about beavers.
No.
High on iron.
I have no idea. Well, no, not that, but for what, like when you were saying irritating, right? Like, that was kind of the key word there. I don't know if you've seen, and I nothing to do about really the Phillies there, but like Bryce Harper's been doing these TikToks with like coffee. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
It is like the most cringe. I've to be honest, in fairness, I was never the biggest Harper guy. I really I like, he's clutch, right? But he's always been like, I don't want to say like, keeping it family friendly. You know what it means. He's a D-bag. Like, I've always thought that from the get-go. Like, this guy is just hard to fully like embrace him to me. Like, He just seems like that guy in high school that would like slam the shortest kid up against their locker just to laugh at him. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad take, but this like Coffee thing, like, he comes over to the Phillies then, it makes me like him a little more. But yeah, Kyle's still in here. It looked like a madman. He doesn't like he looks
does.
like
His eyes are like
like I think this guy needs randomly drugged. Like, I hate to say it, but like maybe he needs drug. He either needs sleep or drug tested because something ain't
both, probably. That coffee is keeping him up.
Well, it's like, and it's so. I'm sorry, but like, hey, social media is for any type of content you want to create, right? But it's so like I couldn't even hardly make it through one of them. I'm just like, what is this? Like, worry about winning a world. I mean, do this after you retire. I don't know. That's his life. I shouldn't say that, but it's a hard watch. I'll put it. It's just like, what? I don't know. Like, whatever you're into, if you're into cars, you're into coffee, whatever. I know it's not baseball all the time, but it's weird. You might. I mean, I could see Harper turn into the next little.
I want a documentary. I do. Of Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's documentary, just like Aaron Rodgers, the three-part documentary.
I guarantee that guy's not as normal as you think. There's just something.
He's far out.
It's something a little off there. I don't know. Whatever he's into, but he don't look right.
No, he's got a lot of he's fun. He's fun. He's a fun guy. So with that, that's about all we got for today. I mean, it's a great show. Great show today. Great Wednesday. Thank you all for tuning in. Friday, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to get more into that Matt LaFleur press conference there. We're going to talk about more of the Packers offseason kind of things there. We're going to look at the Badgers, look at that game against USC. We got to talk Bucks on Friday there. Kyle, maybe Kyle's going to be jumping on Friday there to talk Bucks with us. Maybe, just maybe, depending on his work schedule, he might get on with us there. Who knows what we're going to talk about. Also, we're going to have exciting stuff coming up here in possibly the next couple weeks. So stay tuned on the show here with us. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys back here on Friday. But until